The Moneyline Mac Top 25 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Use that sign-up code TCESGPN to claim a special pick, first-time deposit, 50% off, up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That is the Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rebet, a new sportsbook available in 45 states. Download the Rebet app in the App Store. Use that promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Sorry, $100. That is Rebet, promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college hoops, college football, NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Rhythm. That is the Sports Gambling Podcast.com/RITHMM today. Welcome, everybody, into the college basketball experience. Moneyline Mac Top 25. This one was actually harder to do just because we have a lot of moving parts on these resumes, and teams picking up big wins, teams dropping games that they probably shouldn't have. We'll talk about it all. The AP Top 25 just dropped. We'll look at that, too, where I think that they're wrong versus myself. But first off, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. Also known as Mac Tonight over here at the College Experience. And, shitty slate tonight, only 5 games. I mean, this is where college basketball just can't help itself. This is when you want to load up some of those mid-major games that we allude to that get buried on those 100-plus Saturday slates. Would have loved to have a quality game that at 4 o'clock that gets buried that nobody gets to see, and put that at 7 o'clock tonight on CBS Sports Network or ESPNU. A game like Furman-Princeton, a perfect example, and just other games like that. So, fail on college basketball, but it is what it is. I guess it's a night off. I'm going to head over to the Siegel Center, me and my wife, and check out VCU take on the Quakers at Penn. First time at the Siegel Center for me this year. I'm sure it'll be a good environment like it always is. So if you're over there at the Siegel Center, come on, stop by and, buy a beer and enjoy the Rams here. So let's get into first the AP poll, top 25 that just got released. I just had it up. It is, we do have a new number 1. That is the Tennessee Volunteers, Auburn, Iowa State, Duke, Kentucky. Round out the top 5. Then you have Marquette, Alabama, Gonzaga, Florida, Kansas, rounding out the top 10. Purdue, Oregon, Oklahoma, Michigan, Houston, 11 through 15. Then you got Clemson, A&M, UConn, Ole Miss, Wisconsin, 16 through 20. 21 through 25, you got Sparty, Cincy, San Diego State, UCLA, and Hail State. So how does that compare to mine as I pull up my my slideshows here? Here we go. How does that compare to mine? So the obvious thing that pops the eye looking at what the AP poll ended up doing is they're very biased towards the Blue Bloods. No surprise there. I have Duke at 8. They have Duke at 4. I have Kansas at 15. They have Kansas at 10. I don't have UConn ranked. I don't think UConn should be ranked. I know they wanted Texas. That was impressive. But they have them at 18. Houston is not in my top 25. Their best one's Butler. I don't have them in there as well. So I think it's still a little bit of preseason bias and brand recognition versus what has actually happened on the court. So let's break down mine real quick. I still got Drake in my top 25. I think that they have done an absolute phenomenal job, going undefeated, winning in Charleston, and yeah, I don't see any reason to move Drake outside the top 25 with no blemishes on their resume. To me, they have a better resume than UConn. They honestly maybe too low on mine, to be honest, with wins over Vandy, FAU, Miami, 3 games in consecutive days. They've hit the road and got a win. So Drake at 25, Irvine at 24. I've talked about it. Irvine, the Anteaters, they have a chance to run the table for quite a bit of time here. But they got to get through this game here on Saturday where they go to Corvallis. Oregon State's been tricky. Yeah, so I got Irvine still sitting at 9-0. I got Arizona State, only 1 loss on the resume so far. Absolutely phenomenal what Bobby Hurley and company have done. The other Hurleys ranked for me. They have wins over St. Mary's, New Mexico, Grand Canyon on a neutral floor. Their only loss is at the Kennel by 8 points in a competitive game. So Arizona State stays true at 23. Number 22, I got San Diego State. They continue to roll. They've been playing really good basketball ever since that Gonzaga loss. They look like a different team after that Gonzaga. They go 2-1 in that Vegas tournament. Then they pick up 2 dominant, convincing wins over Fresno and San Diego this week. So the Aztecs continue to roll for me. Utah State is still undefeated, and they have really good wins as well. They got the 2 wins out in Florida over North Texas and the Bonnies, and Iowa as well out there in Kansas City. So they continue to play good basketball. A&M picks up a big win over Texas Tech yesterday. The Buzzsaw Company coming off that Vegas trip, they sit at 8-2. They're playing really good ball. Wade Taylor's a stud. Sparty, I alluded to. I think that they're a Big Ten contender. I think they're better than they were last year with less names. Sparty coming in at number 19, sitting at 8-2. The other Michigan school who's been absolutely rolling. They have 1 less loss than Sparty. Schedule's not been as hard as Michigan State's, but still, they go to Wisconsin, they win. They beat Iowa. Got a little lucky there at the end. They had to hold your breath, but wins over Xavier, Virginia Tech, TCU. The only blemish being Wake Forest. So Michigan, Dusty May doing a good job year 1. Oregon finally drops a game, but the resume's been really, really good. So I dropped them to 17 because it was a home loss. I do penalize teams for losing on their home floor way more than on a true road game. So Oregon at 17, UCLA, the team that beat them, their only knock on their resume is that New Mexico week 1 loss out in Vegas, but UCLA has won what now? They sit at 8-1, winners of 6 in a row. Their schedule hasn't been that tough, but they proved that they're the real deal last night, winning in Eugene. That's a tough place to play. Kansas dropped, probably the biggest drop for me here. They go from 3, I think, last week. No, I had them 2. I dropped them from 2 to 15. They hit the road. They kind of got their ass kicked all week. But I'm not going to drop them out of the top 25 because they lost two road games. Now, if they lose to NC State at home, oh yeah, they're way gone. But Kansas, they drop a road game. They're everybody's Super Bowl like Kentucky and Duke, and they got some issues that they got to fix. But 15, I think, is a perfect medium for the Jayhawks right now, who still have really good wins on their resume. Clemson continues to roll. They're up to number 14. They get the big win over Kentucky. They get the road win at Miami. They have a win over Penn State, who's been really good. Their only knock on their resume is they lost to Boise, but Boise's good, and that was a true road game. So Clemson continues to play really good basketball. Brad Brownell doing a great job. Gonzaga is shown a little bit of vulnerability here. They lose that 17-point lead to Kentucky on Saturday night. The resume is still good, but you can't ignore the 2 losses, both in overtime. Both they blew leads. My Mountaineers got them, and then Kentucky got them on Saturday night in Seattle. So I got them at 13. Purdue, 12. They've been vulnerable on the road like Kansas. They weren't really competitive into either game, but they do have good wins at Mackey. They continue to protect home court. So I think 12 is a good spot for them. Oklahoma still remains unbeaten. I got them at number 11. Their schedule's not as tough as some of these other teams, but they did go to the Bahamas, pick up 3 quality wins over Providence, Arizona, and Louisville. and they beat Georgia Tech earlier in the week. I think 11's a good spot for Porter Moser and company. We got Bedlam on Saturday. Let's go Cowboys. Number 10, I got Hail State. Mississippi State's been absolutely rolling. They had the one loss to Butler that kind of came out of nowhere. But other than that, during the stretch, they beat Pitt by about 1,000 earlier in this week. They could have named that score. They beat UNLV by 20. They beat SMU at SMU. That's a tough place to play. They beat Utah as well. So nice little streak here for Chris Jans and company. And they're scoring the basketball way higher than they have in years past. So I got them at 10 from one Mississippi school to the other. Ole Miss, my sleeper team preseason, is absolutely rolling. 8-1. They went to Louisville and absolutely housed them. They had a win over BYU the week before that. And they have one loss. They have one loss on the year, and it was to Purdue on a tip it at the buzzer. So Ole Miss could very well be undefeated. If they were undefeated, they'd be 4 or 5 for me. So Chris Beard's got a really good team. Duke at number 8. Duke had a great week. No way to sugarcoat it. That bullshit cover last night against Louisville, I'm still pissed about. But they beat Auburn in Cameron. Really good comeback win where it looked like Auburn may just run out of the gym with the way that game started. But the Dukies are at number 8. I know that AP has them above Kentucky for whatever reason. I don't know how you can rank Duke above Kentucky when Kentucky beat them and has one less loss. So I got the Dukies at 8. I think that's a perfect spot. Florida's really good. Florida continues to just blow anybody out, whoever's in front of them. So I got them at 7. They got Arizona State on Saturday, so that's going to be a good test for both teams. They got Florida before SEC play, but Todd Golden and company, the Gators look really strong. Alabama had another really good week. Alabama continues to play really good basketball, 7-2, and we know their gauntlet that they're on. They played Purdue, Illinois, Houston, Rutgers, Oregon, North Carolina. To go 5-2 in that stretch, I think is very impressive. The Tide, they absolutely dominated North Carolina at the Dean Dome. So the Tide continue to roll. I get them at 6. Kentucky had another good week. They did drop the game at Clemson for their first loss, but back against the wall, down 17. They get a big time win in Seattle against Gonzaga. So Kentucky at number 5. I think that's rightfully ranked. I guess me and the pollsters agree on that one. At number 4, man, I don't know why anybody would have this team outside their top 5. Marquette's 9-1 and their losses at Hilton. I mean, everybody loses there. They have a win over Wisconsin by double digits. They have a win over Georgia by double digits. They blew out Purdue. They won at Maryland. Maryland's proven to be pretty good. I think Marquette is easily I don't think the top 4 is debatable right now, to be honest, based off of what we've seen. Iowa State at number 3, just like Marquette. They beat Marquette. The game was in Hilton. If it was at Marquette, I think Marquette would have won. But Iowa State's only loss is a 18-point blown lead to Auburn, who's been awesome. So I think Iowa State is easily the 3rd best team right now in the country from what they've done. And they just continue to rock under Otzelberger. They're a national championship contender this year. They score the ball way better than they have in the past. So number 2, I got Auburn. Auburn is fucking playing really well as well. Number 1, KenPom team and Metrics team. Their only loss is at Duke. I mean, Duke's a hard place to win at. They beat Memphis. They beat Carolina, Iowa State, Houston. We know about their resume. So Auburn, I think, rightfully number 2. And they're a national championship contender. They got a big one in Atlanta on Saturday night against what's her name? Ohio State. So looking forward to that one. And then at number 1, this I did not think that we were going to ever rank this team number 1 at any point this year. But you can't argue what Rick Barnes and Tennessee have done. Whoever's been in front of them on the schedule, they haven't just won. They have just absolutely annihilated whoever's been in front of them. They went to Louisville, won by 22, and they may not even have been that close. They played Virginia. I know Virginia's not very good, but they choked them out. They won by 22. Baylor, they beat them by 15. They were up 25 at one point in that game. Syracuse, they won by 30 earlier in the week. And then you got some mid-majors in there, Tennessee Martin, Austin Peay, Montana, Gardner-Webb. They won all these games going away by 20. So got to put the Vols here. They play in the Jimmy V tomorrow against Miami, which means they'll probably lose because that's what happens at the Jimmy V. Is the number one team in the country. He's got knocked off like 2 out of the last 3 years, I think. So Miami can't win a game. They get a shot at the Vols tomorrow. Looking forward to that one. And then the Vols also play in Champaign on Saturday. So home and home. The first trip was in what's it called? Knoxville last year. So we'll see if the Vols could get it done at the Illini. I think the Illini could definitely shake that up here. But that's my top 25. Throw some chat in here or some comments in the chat. I'll get to them. Who do you guys think is too low? Who's too high? I'm sure there's some UConn people. Like I said, yeah, they beat Baylor and UConn, but they have 3 losses, and they need another win. If they beat Gonzaga, I'll put them in. But I'm not just going to put them in just because they're named UConn. They beat Texas and Baylor. Trevor, Wisconsin getting disrespected. I thought about it, but they didn't have a good week. I mean, they lost a home game. So they lost a home opener, and then they kind of got blown out on Saturday at Marquette. I know Marquette's really good. They're probably my first team out. If I had to rank you're probably going to ask, who's your top 5 teams out right now? I would go Wisconsin. I would go Illinois. I would go Cincinnati. I would go UConn. And then probably Pitt. And then probably West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia's got a good resume. They only have 2 losses. They beat Gonzaga. So, yeah, those are some of the teams. A couple other teams. Baylor's just right outside. Houston's just right outside. There's a bunch of teams that are just right outside the top 25. And I'm sure we're going to get some more shake here because I mentioned it. We got a bunch of really good games this week. Teams are going to fall. So we'll get some shake up here in the polls. Gary K, Maryland. Yes, Maryland. I thought about Maryland. Here's the only thing on Maryland. And I see Dan talking about it as well. Who's Maryland's best win? Maryland's looked the part really well, but they don't really have that big win to hang your hat on. Their best win, I guess, would be Ohio State, who they absolutely annihilated. But compared to some of these other teams, their wins have been either on the road or on a neutral site. But in their losses, they've looked really good. I mean, they almost beat Marquette. They went to Mackey yesterday and hung in there till the very end. Honestly, maybe should have won the game. They're right there. They're in that top 5, top 10 teams right outside, but they're an NCAA tournament team for sure. Eric, can't wait for Florida, Kentucky. Yeah, man, that place is going to be on fire. Florida looks really good. Kentucky looks really good. And, so can't wait for that one. Real quick, we got to talk about ourselves. Get on over there to subscribe today over at youtube.com/The Experience first. Second, make sure you download the app in the App Store today. It's free. And the race of 15K is still on. Quick tally check. Let's see where we're at as we only have 21 days left. So you better get on over there. Colby's going to cancel the show. All right. We still got over 1,000 to go before January 1. So we better get on over there and get some traffic this week. And appreciate it. Keep subscribing, telling a friend. It helps the show grow. It helps the future of the show, more resources, more content, which is what everybody wants. So help us help you by subscribing and liking today. We're also brought to you by, Underdog Fantasy, promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy, promo code TCESGPN. Also brought to you by Rebet, 45 new states, social sports book. Get on over there, download the code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. That is Rebet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by MyBookie. MyBookie's back bigger, better than ever before. We like the Gophers. Get on over there to MyBookie, promo code AG, SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Last but not least, we're brought to you by Rhythm. Get down on college hoops, college football, NFL. Download the Rhythm app today and claim your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com. So that's Rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com. So that's RITHMM today. All righty, we're back over here at the Moneyline Mac Top 25, and I think that's all we got in the chat. Reminder, who am I on today? I'm on Minnesota, plus the point. There's only 5 games. I got South Carolina State at home. I got Hofstra going into Norfolk and getting a road win. And I laid the 2 big numbers with Penn and Baylor. So, yeah. Those are my 5 plays tonight. See you guys tomorrow see you later tonight for tomorrow's games. It's still a little light slate. It's a lighter slate tomorrow, but more than today. And we do have the Jimmy V. Just looking ahead. Just here. This is an exercise we'll do. Looking at the quality games headed into this week. Tomorrow night, you have the Jimmy V doubleheader. You got Miami, Tennessee. You also, who is the second leg of that? Who's the second leg of that doubleheader tomorrow? The Jimmy V. New York, Arkansas, Michigan. Ooh, that's a good one. So Calipari, Dusty May at the Garden. Tennessee, Miami. What else do we got? We got Wisconsin, Illinois in a Big Ten matchup. We got Penn State, Rutgers. We got Providence, DePaul. DePaul still rolling. Rhode Island, Brown. That's a good game tomorrow. And then looking ahead to later in the week, Wednesday, kind of light. Thursday, we do have the Cyhawk series. Iowa State goes to Iowa City. That's always a fun game. Those teams hate each other. This is finals week. So, yeah, there's only 7 games on that day. Friday night is also light, which I hate, man. I was hoping that they would load up Friday. That looks underwhelming as well. I mean, South Dakota State at Colorado is a nice little game. Indiana, Nebraska, a nice Friday night tilt there in the Big Ten. But Saturday's loaded. You got A&M Purdue in the Indy Classic. You got Ohio State, Auburn. You got Skyline, Chile, Xavier, Cincinnati, Wisconsin, Butler, Arizona State, Florida is another good one. Tennessee, Illinois. That's a Saturday night game. Home campus. Gonzaga, UConn at the Garden. UConn fans, you want to get back in my top 25? Go beat Gonzaga at the Garden. Then you got Bedlam later in the night, and then you got Creighton traveling to Alabama. Return game. You got Marquette going to Dayton. So yeah, Saturday's a great slate. Sunday, not as much. So yeah, here, can't wait. We'll see you guys in a couple hours. No pregame show tonight. Pregame show will resume tomorrow for that good slate with the Jimmy V. But other than that, I'll see you guys for the preview and pick show tonight. This has been another edition of Mac Tonight signing off over here at the College Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.